He sang a forbidden melody, and the dying dragon opened its eyes. The sky above the dead planet glowed red, like the last breath of a dying fire. The air shimmered with dust and silence, and the ground cracked beneath the weight of forgotten time. No sound lived there anymore, and no birds, no wind. Only the faint hum of something ancient buried deep below. Eli walked alone through the wasteland, his boots sinking into ash. He was just a scavenger, a boy from the outer colonies, searching for scraps to sell, but today felt different. The air itself seemed to breathe, whispering things he could not understand. He looked up, his helmet visor reflecting the broken moon above. Half of it was gone, shattered long ago in wars no one remembered. He tapped his wrist scanner, but it flickered and died. The interference here was strong, too strong. He thought of turning back, but something in his chest told him to keep walking. It wasn't curiosity. It was a pull, a strange rhythm in the air, like a heartbeat hidden beneath the dust. The old story said this world was cursed that long ago. Dragons lived here, not the kind from fairy tales, but living storms of fire and energy. They said humans once walked beside them, sang with them, fought with them, until the Dominion came and ended the Age of Flame. Eli never believed those tales. They sounded like bedtime myths told by dreamers. But as he walked deeper into the ruins, something started to feel real. The ground trembled faintly, a deep sound, soft, distant, and echoed beneath his feet. He froze, his breath caught. The sound came again, slower this time, like thunder rolling through stone. A heartbeat. He knelt, pressing his hand to the ground. It was warm, impossibly warm, then it stopped, the silence returned. But the feeling in his chest didn't fade. It grew stronger. The boy looked around, the ruins stretched for miles. Old structures melted by ancient fire. In the distance, a great shape rose from the dust, and a mountain, or maybe something else. As he approached, he saw the truth. It wasn't a mountain, it was a body. A massive creature lay across the valley. Half buried in the earth, its wings were torn, its scales cracked and dark. The air around it shimmered with fading heat. Each breath it took was slow and broken. Like the sigh of a world near death, Eli's heart pounded. He stepped closer, disbelief in his eyes. It was a dragon, not metal, not machine, alive but barely. He could feel its energy humming through the air. It was weak but immense. The closer he got, the stronger the heat became. The ground beneath him pulsed, matching the rhythm of the creature's heart. He whispered softly, not sure why, "You're real." The dragon's eye opened, just a sliver. Gold light flickered from within, ancient and heavy for a moment. Eli forgot how to breathe. The creature shifted, its head turning slightly. Dust rolled down its side like waves. When it spoke, the sound wasn't words. It was like thunder breaking inside his skull, a voice older than stars, human. The word came faintly, almost broken. Eli stumbled back, his mind spinning. He had heard recordings of Dominion AI, mechanical, emotionless, but this was different. The dragon's voice carried sorrow, power, and something deeper. A memory. Eli tried to speak but could only whisper, "You're hurt." The dragon's eyes glowed brighter, the air rippled with heat. "The song has died." He didn't understand. He looked around, half expecting someone else to appear. But there was only him, a boy standing before the last dragon in existence. He could see smoke rising from the creature's wounds, dark veins of molten fire running beneath its scales. It had been dying for a long time, maybe centuries. A wave of sadness hit Eli, heavy and strange. He wanted to help, but how could a boy help a being older than his entire race? He took a hesitant step forward. I can try to find help." The dragon's breath came out as a soft growl, shaking the dust. No help. Only silence. Its voice trembled, fading with each word. The light in its eyes flickered like a candle about to go out. Eli stood frozen. The wind began to rise again, carrying whispers, faint echoes that almost sounded like singing. He turned, searching the horizon, but no one was there. It was then he remembered something, a melody, faint in his mind, a lullaby his grandmother used to hum. She always told him never to sing it, that it belonged to the old world. A forbidden song. His heart raced. Could it be the same one the dragon spoke of? He looked back at the creature, its breath slowing, its body trembling. He felt it, the same rhythm he'd heard in the melody, deep and ancient. For a long moment, the boy stood between fear and compassion, between reason and instinct. The dragon's eyelid fluttered once more. The song. The fire. Its head sank. The ground cracked beneath the weight of its fall. Eli took a step forward, then another. The heat stung his skin, but he didn't stop. He reached out, his hand trembling, and placed it on one of the dragon's cracked scales. A spark leapt through him, not pain, but memory. He saw flashes, humans and dragons flying through golden skies, worlds alive with song and flame. Then screams wore silence. He pulled back, gasping. The dragon's breathing had slowed to nothing. Its eye dimmed again. Eli knelt beside it, looking at the dying light between the scales. "Don't die," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Please don't die." The silence stretched for a long time. Only the wind answering, then faintly, very faintly, the dragon's chest moved. The ground vibrated again, weaker this time, but steady. Eli felt the rhythm return, matching the old melody that still echoed in his mind. He closed his eyes, whispering the first note, almost afraid. The sound lingered in the air, soft and trembling, far above. The red clouds shifted, the wind changed, carrying the sound away. The dragon's body glowed faintly under the ash. Something ancient had heard the call, and it was listening. The sky was darker now, heavy with red clouds that glowed like dying embers. The wind moved strangely, carrying whispers that seemed almost alive. Eli stood before the massive creature, unable to believe what he had found. The dragon's breath came out in slow, uneven bursts. Each exhale sent waves of heat and dust rolling through the air. Its chest rose weakly, then fell again. Its wings were torn, bones visible through cracked scales that shimmered faintly like burnt metal. Eli's hand shook. He didn't know if the creature was alive or only pretending to be. He called out softly, "Can you hear me?" For a moment there was no reply. Then the ground beneath him vibrated and a sound came, low and deep. Not a word, but a feeling, a sound filled with sorrow. The dragon was crying, not with tears, but with the trembling rumble of its dying heart. The sound echoed across the ruins, bouncing off stone walls and hollow towers that had not heard life for 1,000 years. Eli felt his chest tighten. He didn't know what to do. He was only a boy with a broken scanner and a bag of scavenged metal. What could he possibly do for something that had once ruled the skies? He stepped closer again. The dragon's enormous eye turned slowly toward him. A faint golden glow flickered deep inside it, like the last spark in a dying fire when it spoke. The voice was no longer thunder. It was a whisper that trembled in Eli's mind. "Human, you should not be here." Eli swallowed hard. His voice came out small. "I didn't mean to. I just followed the sound." The dragon's breathing was labored. Each word seemed to cost it strength. "The sound, the song?" Eli blinked. "You mean the song I hummed?" The dragon's gaze drifted upward, toward the red clouds, the forbidden melody. It was not meant for mortal lips. He frowned, confused. "I didn't know. My grandmother used to sing it." The dragon's eye flickered again. "Your blood remembers what your mind does not." Eli took a slow step closer. "You're dying, aren't you?" The creature's breath shuddered. "Dying is mercy. I have lived through the fall of flame, through betrayal, through silence he didn't fully understand. But he could feel the weight of the words. It wasn't just one dragon dying. It was the last piece of something ancient fading away. The air around them started to shift. Eli noticed the sand rising slightly, drawn toward the creature's wounds. It swirled faintly, glowing red in the light. He reached out again, his fingers trembling. Can I help you?" The dragon's head tilted slightly. The faintest smile touched its cracked jaw. "Help? You cannot help what was never yours to save." Its voice grew softer, the light in its eyes dimming. Then the ground shook violently. A deep rumble spread through the valley. Eli stumbled backward, the dragon's body convulsed, releasing a roar that tore the air apart. It wasn't just sound. It was power, the kind that rattled bones and split stone. Eli fell to his knees, covering his ears. The roar burned through his mind, showing flashes of memory. A city of light, skies full of dragons, humans and beasts flying side by side, then fire, screaming war and silence. The boy gasped for air, his vision blurred. The roar ended as suddenly as it began. The valley was silent again, but the dragon was motionless now. Eli's heart dropped. He rushed forward, shaking its side. "Hey, wake up, you can't stop now." Nothing, only a faint pulse of warmth beneath his palm. Fading fast, he looked around, desperate. "Please," he whispered. "There has to be something." He tried humming again. The same melody he'd sung before. The sound trembled in the air. Carried by fear and hope, nothing happened. The dragon didn't move. He bit his lip, tears burning in his eyes. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean to." Then a spark, small, faint, glowing from beneath the dragon's throat. Eli froze. The glow spread like veins of fire beneath the scales. It moved toward his hand, pulsing softly. The dragon's voice echoed again, weaker but clear. "You called me back." Eli blinked in shock. "I did?" The dragon's eye opened once more, brighter this time. "Your song carries the first flame, the gift that once united our kind." He didn't understand, but he didn't need to. The feeling inside him was enough. Something ancient now flowed between them. Warmth, sorrow, and power all at once. The dragon tried to rise, its massive wings twitched, dust falling from them in sheets, but the effort was too much. It collapsed again with a groan that shook the air. Eli grabbed one of its claws. "Don't move. You'll hurt yourself more." The creature gave a low rumble that might have been laughter. "Hurt? Little one. Pain is the only proof that I still exist." Eli felt the world tilt for a moment, a mix of fear and wonder. "Why did you call me Singer of Flame before?" The dragon closed its eyes, its voice like a dying fire. "Because the fire answers only to song, and only the pure of heart can awaken it. You sang without greed, without command. That is why the flame listened." Eli stood there, frozen in awe, but his wonder turned to dread as the ground trembled again. He looked up. The red sky was no longer calm, it rippled, alive with distant flashes of blue light. Something was coming. The dragon's eyes narrowed. "They heard it? Who?" Eli asked, voice shaking. "The Dominion," the dragon growled. "The ones who silenced us, they hear the forbidden song, and they will come to end it again." Eli turned toward the sky, seeing faint streaks of silver descending from orbit. Ships, hundreds of them, cutting through the clouds. His heart raced. "What do we do?" The dragon looked at him, calm despite its wounds. "We run, but you can't even fly." The dragon exhaled, sending a wave of smoke through the air. "Then you must carry the flame." "I can't," Eli said, backing away. "I'm just a boy." The creature's eyes burned with sudden fire. So was the first singer, so were they all. The song has chosen. It does not mistake. The air trembled again as more light filled the clouds, the Dominion ships now closer, their engines rumbling like thunder. Eli's chest ached. The melody he'd sung still hummed faintly inside him, pulsing in time with the dragon's heart. He looked back at the creature. "If I help you, will you live?" The dragon stared at him for a long moment, then softly, "If I live, the galaxy will burn again, but if I die, hope dies with me." The wind picked up, whipping the ash around them into spirals of firelight. The dragon raised its head one last time, eyes locked on the approaching ships. "Eli," it said, the name echoing through his mind. "When they come, do not fear, sing, and the stars will answer." The sky split open, beams of light raining down. Eli covered his face, heat washing over him. He could hear the Dominion's engines screaming through the air. The dragon gave a final roar. Deeper, louder, filled with fury and pain, it shook the heavens, and the red clouds themselves seemed to burn away. The roar carried through space, past the dead moons and into the void beyond. It was a cry of warning, a cry of defiance, a cry that something ancient had awoken. And as the boy stood in the shadow of the dying dragon, his heart pounding with fear and awe, he realized something terrifying. The forbidden song had not just awakened one dragon. It had awakened them all. The sky burned crimson, streaked with silver trails of fire as Dominion ships pierced the clouds. The air was no longer still. It screamed, filled with the roar of engines and the thunder of destruction. Eli stood frozen beside the dying dragon, his heart pounding so hard he could barely breathe. The dragon lifted its head weakly, smoke rising from its mouth. Its golden eyes reflected the burning heavens. "The hunters come," it said, voice like breaking stone. "They have not forgotten the flame." Eli looked up, eyes wide. "What do they want?" The dragon's gaze fell upon him. "Silence," it rumbled. "They fear what the song can wake." The boy didn't understand. How could a song cause fear? How could a simple melody draw the attention of an empire? But deep inside him the tune still hummed, faint but alive, beating with his heart like a second pulse. The first Dominion ship broke through the clouds, its metallic hull glowing with blue light. Eli could see figures moving inside, black armored soldiers, faces hidden, their machines hovered low. Scanning the surface, searching, the dragon exhaled weakly. They smell the flame. They come to finish what they began. Eli's instinct screamed to run, but his feet refused to move. He stared at the dying creature, this ancient being of legend. Powerful even in its weakness, he couldn't abandon it, not now. One of the ships descended lower, its spotlights cutting through the dust. A mechanical voice echoed from the speakers. Unregistered life form detected, stand down, or lethal force will be used. The dragon laughed, low and bitter. They always threaten before they destroy. Eli looked between the ship and the dragon, panic rising in his chest. We have to hide. The creature tried to lift itself, wings trembling, bones cracking, but it collapsed again. I cannot run, my fire is gone, it said softly. But the song burns in you still? I don't know what that means. Eli shouted over the rising wind. The dragon's eyes blazed for a moment. Then learn, child of man. Before the silence claims us both. Blinding blue light erupted from the ship. A plasma bolt struck the ground, throwing Eli backward. He hit the dirt hard, the heat searing his face. The dragon roared, even in weakness. The sound shaking the air, the ground split. Flames burst from beneath the surface. The Dominion ship pulled back, its shields flickering, soldiers shouting commands. Eli covered his ears. The roar wasn't just sound anymore. It carried images, feelings, memories. He saw flashes again. Humans singing beside dragons, their voices blending into storms of light, worlds blooming under their music. Then betrayal, Dominion fleets burning the skies, dragons falling and the music turning to screams. He gasped, clutching his chest. What is happening to me? The dragon's voice whispered in his mind. The song remembers, it never dies. Only waits for a voice to awaken it. Eli looked down at his trembling hands, faint golden light pulsing through his veins. I'm not supposed to have this, he muttered. I'm just a boy. I can't. The dragon's eyes narrowed. The flame does not choose kings or warriors. It chooses the willing. Another blast hit nearby, the shockwave throwing sand and stone into the air. The Dominion's metallic voices grew louder. Contain the anomaly, target the heat source. Eli's heart raced. He turned to the dragon. What do I do? The creature lowered its head, voice fading. Sing. Eli shook his head, fear gripping him. That song? It's forbidden, my grandmother said. The dragon's golden eye dimmed. Then let it die again, and with it, the last hope of your kind. For a moment everything went silent. Only the hum of engines above and the sound of his own heartbeat remained. Then Eli closed his eyes. He took a trembling breath and whispered the first note. The sound drifted into the air, small, uncertain, but alive. The ground beneath him pulsed. The dragon's chest glowed faintly. The melody grew louder as he remembered the next line. Then the next, the forbidden song filled the valley. It wasn't loud, it was haunting. Soft like the wind, but heavy like truth. The notes shimmered in the air, forming ripples of gold that danced over the dragon's scales. The Dominion ships hesitated. Sensors flickered, instruments failed. The sky shimmered as the air itself seemed to vibrate in rhythm with the melody. The dragon opened its eyes, fire returning to them. Its wings lifted slightly, torn but glowing. The flame listens, it whispered. Continue, Eli sang louder, tears burning his eyes. The melody came from somewhere deep, not from his throat, but from his soul. Every note felt ancient, sacred, powerful. The sky changed. The red clouds parted, revealing a spiral of light above them. One of the Dominion captains shouted, "Cut the source! Shut him down!" The ships fired again, beams of light raining down. But the blasts never reached him. The air shimmered around Eli, forming a barrier of gold. The melody curved like a living thing, wrapping around him and the dragon. The dragon rose, towering once more, its wings unfolding wide. Its wounds glowed, sealing with light. The fire within its throat blazed again, hotter than the sun. By the flame it returned, the dragon roared. It turned toward the sky and unleashed its fire. The blast tore through the nearest Dominion ship. Shattering it in a burst of light, Eli stumbled backward, the energy rushing through him. The song refused to stop. It moved on its own now, flowing through him. Out into the world, the ground cracked open, golden veins spreading in every direction. Ancient symbols glowed beneath the surface. Burning like constellations, the remaining Dominion ships backed away, their systems flickering uncontrollably. Alarms screamed through the comms. Unknown frequency detected. Containment breach! Eli's voice rose higher, his body trembling. The song was no longer a lullaby, it was a storm. Vast. Unstoppable. The dragon joined in, its roar merging with the melody, turning into harmony. Flames spiraled around them both. The planet itself seemed to awaken. Mountains shook, rivers of light burst from the cracks. It was as if the world had been waiting for this moment for 1,000 years. When the last note left his lips, silence fell. The flames faded, and the sky returned to stillness. The dragon lowered its head beside him, smoke curling from its nostrils. "You have done what none dared to do," it said softly. "The flame is alive again." Eli fell to his knees, breathing hard, his body glowing faintly from within. "I didn't mean to." "You were meant to," the dragon interrupted gently. "But your song has awakened more than me." Eli looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" The dragon turned its gaze to the sky. Above the red clouds, far beyond the atmosphere, the stars began to move, tiny lights shifting into new constellations, pulsing faintly like heartbeats. "They are listening," the dragon said, voice filled with awe. "The ancient ones, the forgotten kind, the sleepers beneath the void." Eli stared, his fear returning. "You mean, there are more?" The dragon's golden eyes glowed brighter. "1,000 worlds will tremble. For the song of flame has been sung again." Eli looked toward the horizon, the Dominion ships retreating, the air still trembling. The melody still lingered faintly. Echoing in the wind, something vast had awakened, something neither human nor dragon could ever control. And somewhere deep in the darkness of space, other dragons, sleeping for centuries, began to stir, their eyes opening one by one, their hearts beating to the same rhythm as the boy's song. The age of silence was ending and the fire was rising again. Silence returned to the broken world, but it wasn't the same silence as before. It was deeper, heavier, alive. The air still shimmered faintly where Eli had sung, golden sparks drifting like dust fading into the wind. He sat on his knees beside the dragon, his voice gone, his chest aching. The world around him felt changed, sharper, brighter, as if the song had peeled away a veil that had hidden everything real. Even the wind sounded different now, like it was whispering secrets in a language older than time. The dragon's golden eyes glowed faintly as it looked at him. "You did what no one has dared for 1,000 years, it said softly. "You sang the flame back into being." Eli swallowed hard, his throat dry. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to save you." The dragon's mouth curled into a faint smile. "And by saving me, you have doomed yourself." Eli blinked. "What do you mean?" "The song cannot be unsung," the dragon said, its voice echoing like thunder through the ruins. "It travels through the stars, through every memory of fire and breath. It calls to all who once lived by its light." Eli looked up at the red sky, now filled with streaks of faint golden energy dancing among the clouds. "What's happening out there?" The dragon's wings twitched, its gaze turning toward the heavens. "They awaken," it whispered. "The sleepers beneath the black suns, the dragons who fell into eternal rest when the flame died." Eli's breath caught. "You mean, more of you?" The dragon nodded slowly. "And not only my kind, the song calls to everything bound by the first fire, even those who betrayed it." A deep rumble spread through the ground, a slow vibration that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Eli stood unsteady. "Is that them?" The dragon's eyes darkened. "No, that is the Dominion far above." Blue lights reappeared in the clouds. Dozens, then hundreds of them. The sky was filling again, fleets of silver ships emerging from the storm. This time they were ready. The dragon lowered its head. "They have come with fire, and they will not stop until the song is buried once more." Eli looked up at the endless line of ships, his hands shaking. "What do we do?" "We can't fight them." The dragon's wings flexed weakly, sending waves of dust swirling through the air. "No, but we can run, and we can awaken others." "Others?" Eli asked, his voice trembling. The dragon turned its head toward the far horizon, where the light was faintly pulsing like a heartbeat beneath the mountains. The first temple of flame, the place where song and fire were born together. "The melody will guide us," Eli frowned. "But I don't even know where that is." The dragon's golden eyes narrowed. "You don't have to know, the flame knows." "And it burns inside you." Before Eli could answer, a new sound tore through the air, a mechanical shriek that split the clouds. He looked up. Something massive was descending from orbit, far larger than the other ships, a Dominion dreadnought, its hull covered in black armor etched with silver runes. The dragon's scales shimmered with tension. "That is not just a hunter," it rumbled. "That is a silencer." A silencer? They were created to kill dragons, to erase flame, to crush song. Eli's stomach turned cold. "Then we have to go now." The dragon tried to rise again, but its legs trembled under its own weight. Smoke rose from the cracks in its scales, and its wings struggled to lift. The light in its chest flickered. "You can't fly," Eli said. Panic rising, the dragon looked down at him. "Then lend me your strength, Singer." "I don't have any strength left," Eli said. Exhausted. "I'm just a boy." The dragon's voice deepened. Like distant thunder, "The song is not about strength. It is about will." Eli took a slow breath. He closed his eyes. The melody still lingered faintly inside him. Soft, warm, waiting. He whispered a single note, and the ground trembled. The glow returned to the dragon's scales, golden light spreading like wildfire across its body. The creature roared, spreading its wings wide. The air ignited around it, swirling into spirals of flame that reached the clouds. The Dominion fleet faltered for a moment, their scanners overwhelmed. The dragon crouched low, its massive head lowering beside Eli. "Climb on." Eli hesitated, staring at the enormous creature. "You're serious?" Now before we both burn, he climbed up, gripping the edge of a scale as large as a door. The dragon's body vibrated beneath him, humming with renewed energy. Then, with a single powerful beat of its wings, it rose. The wind howled as they soared through the air. The ground shrinking beneath them, fire trailed behind its wings, cutting through the dark clouds like comets. Eli clung tightly, the heat searing his face. The view below was breathtaking, an endless wasteland glowing with rivers of light awakened by the song. But above them, the Dominion fleet was closing in. Energy beams streaked past them. Tearing through the clouds, the dragon twisted sharply, flames trailing from its wings as it dodged the blasts. Explosions lit up the sky, thunder rolling through the air. Eli shouted over the roar of the wind, "They're everywhere!" The dragon's eyes burned like suns. "Then we fly where they cannot follow." It dove straight into the clouds, lightning flashing around them. The wind roared so loud Eli thought his ears would burst. For a moment they vanished from every Dominion scanner, lost in the storm inside the dreadnought. The admiral of the Dominion stood before a massive screen, his voice cold and sharp. "Find the anomaly," he ordered. "No survivors, no remnants of flame. The song dies tonight." His second officer hesitated. "But sir, the readings, the energy field is unstable. It's affecting our systems." The admiral turned slowly, his eyes glowing faint blue. "Then burn the atmosphere outside." The fleet began to release black orbs of energy, silencing bombs designed to erase all living sound. They fell through the clouds, detonating in silence, waves of darkness spreading in every direction. Eli felt the change before he saw it. The air grew heavy. The sound around them began to die. Even the dragon's wings moved without noise. "They're cutting sound," the dragon said grimly. "They mean to erase the song from existence." Eli pressed his hands to his chest, desperate. "What do we do?" The dragon's eyes flared. "Sing again, but not to awaken, and to shield." He hesitated, his throat raw. "I don't know how." "You already do," the dragon whispered. "Let your fear be the rhythm. Let your courage be the tone." Eli closed his eyes. The silence pressed in like water, crushing everything, but deep inside, the melody stirred again. He opened his mouth and sang. Not words, just sound, and soft at first. Trembling but pure golden light burst from his body. Spreading outward like waves in water, the silence shattered. Sound rushing back into the world. The wind, the fire, the heartbeat of the dragon. The Dominion bombs disintegrated midair, their black energy turning to dust. The dragon's roar followed, louder than ever before. Echoing across the storm, the fleet trembled, systems collapsing one by one. The admiral stared at the screens in disbelief. "Impossible," he hissed. "He's just a human child." The dragon rose higher, breaking through the storm clouds above them. The stars gleamed, alive, trembling. Somewhere far beyond the visible horizon, something answered the song. Eli opened his eyes. The stars seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heart. The dragon's voice echoed softly in his mind. "They are coming." "Who?" he whispered. "The others," it said. "The first flame has awakened. and the universe will never be silent again. The Dominion fleet burned below, their ships falling like dying embers. But in the vast darkness of space, 1,000 sleeping eyes began to open, each one glowing with the light of ancient fire. Eli didn't yet understand it. But the boy who had sung a forbidden song had just rewritten the destiny of worlds. The awakening had begun, and nothing could stop it now. The stars were burning, not with peace but with war. Eli gripped the dragon's scales as they rose above the storm, fire trailing behind their wings. Below them, the Dominion fleet regrouped, thousands of ships forming a ring of light around the wounded world. From above it looked like a cage of blue fire closing in. The dragon's breath steamed in the cold air. "They will not stop," it said, voice heavy as thunder. "They will burn this world to ashes to bury the song." Eli's hands tightened. "Then we can't let them." The dragon gave a faint growl, part pride, part sorrow. "You speak as if you are ready for battle." "I'm scared," the boy said. "But I'm not running." The dragon's eyes glowed brighter. "Then you are already braver than kings." The fleet began to move, lines of light cutting through the darkness, each ship a blade of metal and hate. The sky filled with the scream of engines and the hum of charged cannons. One by one, the Dominion ships fired, bolts of blue plasma streaking upward like falling stars. The dragon twisted sharply, its wings folding close as it dove through the chaos. Explosions rippled through the clouds. Eli's ears rang, his heart pounding like drums. He could feel the song still humming inside him, faint but alive. It wanted to rise again, but he was afraid of what it might wake this time. The dragon roared, turning its head toward him. "Sing, little one." Eli shook his head. "If I do, I might destroy everything." "Better destroyed than forgotten," the dragon growled. Another blast grazed their wing, sending shards of molten scale into the air. Eli ducked as fire rained around them. The dragon's voice came again, softer, almost gentle. "You are not singing to destroy. You are singing to protect." Eli closed his eyes, breath trembling. He let the fear pass through him and whispered a single note. The melody caught the wind like fire catching dry leaves. Spreading, rising, golden light flowed from his chest, wrapping around the dragon like armor. When the next wave of plasma struck, it bent around them. The song turned the heat into harmless light. The dragon's roar blended with the melody, deep and full of power. The sky itself seemed to split open. Flames burst from the clouds, swirling in vast circles that moved with the rhythm of the song. Each note drew a shape in the air, symbols of the first flame glowing bright against the dark. Inside the Dominion dreadnought, Admiral Vore stood rigid before his command screen. "Impossible," he hissed. "He bends energy itself." His lieutenant stammered. "Sir, the resonance is spreading. Our systems are failing." Vore slammed his hand on the console. "Target the dragon's heart. Focus all batteries, burn them from the sky." The fleet obeyed. 1,000 beams of blue light converged at once, turning the sky into a single column of death. The dragon banked hard, diving toward the ruins below. But one beam struck its side. It screamed, the sound shaking mountains. Eli clung on, the heat searing his skin. The dragon's scales blackened. "Smoke rising from the wound, hold on!" It roared, its wings beating wildly. They crashed through the clouds, falling toward the surface, the ground rushing up fast. Eli felt weightless for a heartbeat. Then the world exploded, dust, fire, metal. Everything blurred into light and sound. When he opened his eyes, he was lying in the ashes, the dragon half buried beside him. Its great chest rose weakly, the glow inside it fading. "Get up," it whispered. "They will come for you now." Eli stumbled to his feet. Vision swimming far above, the dreadnought descended, its shadow covering the valley like a storm. He could hear the whine of engines and the metallic footsteps of soldiers approaching, black-armored shapes moving through the smoke. Their weapons glowed cold and blue. Eli backed away, his hands shaking. "No, please." A voice boomed from the loudspeakers, sharp and inhuman. "Surrender the anomaly." The dragon lifted its head slightly, its voice weak but fierce. "He is under my flame." "Dominion," the admiral's voice answered, calm and cruel. "Then die with him." The soldiers opened fire, blue bolts cutting through the air. Eli threw himself against the dragon's side. But before the blasts could hit, the song rose again. Not from Eli this time, but from the dragon. The melody was deeper, older. Filled with pain and pride, the fire spread from its body, spiraling outward in waves. Each bolt that touched it dissolved into light. The soldiers screamed as their armor melted away. Leaving only dust, Eli stared in awe, tears in his eyes. "You're still alive." The dragon's laughter was soft, almost human. For now, it turned its gaze toward the dreadnought. "But this battle is not mine to finish." The great ship fired again, a beam so bright it turned night into day. The dragon spread its wings wide. Taking the full blast, flame and steel collided. Shaking the planet, Eli screamed, "No!" But when the light faded, the dragon still stood. Its body blazing like a star, it looked down at him. Its voice barely a whisper, "Go, child, find the temple." "The song must live, I won't leave you," Eli cried. "You must," it said gently. "A flame is only eternal if it passes on." The dragon turned back toward the sky. Its chest glowed white-hot, brighter and brighter, until Eli could barely look then. With one final roar, a sound that carried through space itself, the dragon unleashed everything. A storm of fire burst upward, swallowing the Dominion fleet. Ships vanished into light. The dreadnought torn apart in seconds. The ground shook for miles. Eli fell to his knees, covering his ears, when he looked up again. The sky was clear, empty, and silent. The dragon lay still, smoke curling from its wings. Its golden eyes dimmed. Eli ran to its side, pressing his hands against its chest. "Please, don't go." The dragon smiled faintly. "The flame never dies. It only changes shape." A spark of light drifted from its heart, floating toward him. He reached out, and it sank into his chest, warm and gentle. He gasped as energy filled him, not fire but life. The dragon's voice echoed in his mind one last time. "Carry the song, singer of flame, and let the stars remember." Then its body turned to ash, glowing softly before the wind carried it away. Eli stood alone in the valley. The sky burned orange with dawn far on the horizon. He could see faint pillars of light rising from other worlds, signals, echoes of the song spreading through the galaxy. The Dominion was wounded but not gone. They would return, stronger, angrier. But Eli no longer felt small. He placed a hand over his heart. The melody hummed quietly within him. And for the first time, he understood. The song was not just sound. It was memory, hope, and the promise that even in darkness, the flame would rise again. He turned toward the distant mountains, where the first temple of flame waited beyond the mist. The journey was far from over. The war of fire and steel had only just begun. The wind carried the scent of ash and rain as Eli walked across the valley where the dragon had fallen. The ground still glowed faintly beneath his boots, golden cracks pulsing like veins of sleeping fire. Each step he took echoed softly, as though the world itself was listening. He looked up. The sky was no longer red. It was gray, quiet, heavy with smoke, but far away, beyond the mountains, a thin column of light rose into the clouds, straight and bright. That was where he had to go. The dragon's final words still rang in his mind. "Find the temple, the song must live." His body ached. His throat burned from dust and exhaustion. Yet the melody inside him still hummed, faint but constant. It wasn't a song anymore, and it felt like a heartbeat that wasn't his. Every pulse reminded him of the dragon, the warmth of its fire. The sorrow in its eyes. He walked for hours, through ruins older than any human memory. The wind whispered fragments of voices, distant and hollow. Sometimes he thought he saw shadows moving between the stones, shapes too large, too slow to be human. He didn't stop to find out. As he climbed higher into the mountains, the air grew cold and thin. Snow began to fall, mixing with the ash. Each flake that touched his skin glowed for a second before melting, warm instead of cold. He realized it wasn't snow at all. It was dust from the dragon's fire. By nightfall, he reached the entrance of the temple. It was carved into the face of a cliff, massive and silent. 2 stone pillars guarded the doorway, each shaped like a dragon in flight. Wings spread, eyes blind. Between them, an archway of black stone shimmered faintly with golden light. Eli hesitated, his breath visible in the cold air. "I'm here," he whispered, though he didn't know if anyone could hear. The melody in his chest grew louder. The light on the archway brightened. He stepped forward and the door opened by itself, releasing a soft gust of warm air that smelled of smoke and earth. Inside, the temple was enormous, a cavern of gold and shadow. Walls covered in carvings showed humans and dragons standing together, singing beneath stars. Fire burned in bowls along the corridor, flames dancing without fuel. Eli moved slowly, his footsteps echoing. As he walked deeper, he saw words carved into the floor, not in human letters, but symbols glowing with faint light, the same ones that had appeared when he sang before. He crouched down and touched one, and warmth spread up his arm. A whisper filled his mind. Gentle but strong, welcome. Singer of flame, he froze. Who's there? The voice came again, softer now. Do not fear. We have waited a long time. Light began to rise from the walls, lines of gold forming a circle around him. At the center of the room, a shape appeared, large and shimmering. It was not flesh, not ghost, and it was a memory made of light, a dragon, translucent and radiant. Hovering above the floor, its eyes glowed with calm fire. You carry the last ember of the first flame, it said, and the heart of one who gave everything. Eli's breath caught. You mean the dragon who— Yes, the voice interrupted gently. His spirit lives within you now, your hearts are bound. Two flames in one song. Eli pressed a hand to his chest, feeling the warmth there. I can feel him sometimes, like he's still watching. The dragon spirit lowered its head. He watches through you. The room began to hum, faint music rising from the air itself. The carvings on the walls glowed, forming a vast mural, the history of flame. He saw images of worlds being born from light, dragons soaring through nebulae, humans walking beside them, singing life into mountains and oceans. But then the light darkened. The Dominion's fleets appeared. Bringing war and silence, the songs turned to screams. The dragons fell and the fire was caged. Eli turned away, his eyes burning. Why would anyone destroy this? Because they feared what they could not control, the spirit said. The flame is not a weapon, yet men made it one, and so it was taken from them. The spirit moved closer, its voice lowering. Now it returns, but it will not be easy. The Dominion will hunt you, and those who once sang will rise again. Not all of them kind. Eli frowned. Others like me? Not like you, the spirit said softly. Older, darker, some remember the betrayal. They will not forgive. The air grew colder. The firelight dimmed. From the far side of the chamber, a shadow stirred, tall, slender. Cloaked in black metal, Eli stepped back, his heart racing. What is that? The spirit's eyes narrowed. One of the watchers, guardians of silence. They were left to ensure the song never returned. The figure moved closer, its face hidden, its voice sharp and mechanical. You should not be here, human, it said. The age of fire ended long ago. Eli took another step back, his hand glowing faintly. I don't want to fight, he said. I just came to learn. The watcher's head tilted. There is nothing left to learn, only to erase. It raised its arm, light gathering in its palm, a beam of blue energy forming. Eli froze. He had no weapon, no armor. But the melody inside him rose again, loud and fast, reacting to his fear. Before the blast could fire, his chest flared with light. The song erupted from him in a single note. The sound tore through the air, golden and pure. The beam dissolved midair. Shattering like glass, the watcher staggered, its metal body cracking under invisible pressure. The spirit dragon's voice echoed. You see now? The flame protects itself, Eli gasped. Struggling to breathe, the light around him faded slowly. The watcher lay still, its body broken, sparks falling from its chest. He looked down at his hands, trembling. I didn't mean to— The spirit interrupted softly. Power is not evil. It becomes evil only when you forget why you use it. Eli nodded weakly. I just want to save what's left. The dragon's form shimmered brighter. Then you must finish the song. The full melody lies beyond this place and in the Chamber of Hearts. Chamber of Hearts? He repeated. The spirit turned toward a doorway now glowing at the far end of the hall. Through it, Eli could see flickering lights, thousands of small flames floating in the air like stars. They are the hearts of dragons who once sang, the spirit said. Their voices wait to join yours. Eli stepped forward, awe filling his eyes. I can feel them. They're calling. The dragon's voice lowered. Be warned, child, once the song is complete, there will be no turning back. The flame will spread again, and the Dominion will come with fire and shadow. Eli hesitated for a moment, looking back at the silent hall, the broken watcher, and the faint light of dawn shining through the doorway. Then he took a deep breath and said softly, Then let it come. He stepped through the arch, and the world beyond glowed gold. Thousands of floating hearts pulsed in the air. each one humming with faint music. The melody inside him grew stronger, answering their call. The dragon's voice echoed faintly behind him. Two hearts now beat as one. But soon the galaxy will sing again. Eli closed his eyes. He could feel every heartbeat around him, every memory, every voice, joining with his own. The chamber shook as the light intensified. Far away, across the stars, something vast and dark stirred from its sleep. The Dominion sensors flared alive, alarms screaming in their ships, and somewhere in the void, a voice whispered, cold and full of hatred, "The flame rises again." Eli opened his eyes, his hands glowing brighter than ever. "The song isn't finished," he whispered. "It's only beginning." The chamber shook as the golden lights flared brighter. Eli stood surrounded by thousands of floating hearts, each one beating to a rhythm older than the stars. Their glow filled the air like living fireflies, painting his face with soft gold. He could feel them, the dragons who had died long ago, the singers who had fallen, their voices waiting to rise again. The melody inside him grew stronger, louder. It wasn't his song anymore, it belonged to all of them. The ground beneath him began to vibrate, symbols of fire spreading across the floor. The walls pulsed with energy. The ancient temple was waking up. A voice filled the air, not one, but many layered together, "Sing, singer of flame, and let the worlds remember." Eli took a breath, his chest glowing with light. He closed his eyes and began to hum the first note. The sound drifted softly at first, like a whisper in an empty hall. Then it grew, stronger, warmer, deeper. Each heart in the chamber joined in, each flame pulsing in time with his voice. The air shimmered, waves of golden sound rising like the tide. As the song built, the walls of the temple began to fade. Not crumble, fade, revealing the stars beyond. Eli looked around, breathless. He was no longer standing in stone halls. He was standing among constellations, surrounded by endless fire and light. The dragons' voices filled the cosmos. Every star hummed in harmony. It was not music meant for ears. It was the sound of creation itself. Eli raised his hands, the melody flowing through him like fire through air. The power was too vast, too heavy. He trembled. "I can't hold it." The familiar voice echoed in his mind. The first dragon, the one who had given his life. "You are not alone. Remember." Two hearts beat as one. A warmth spread through him, steady and calm. He could feel the dragon's spirit inside, guiding his rhythm, holding him firm. Together they sang, boy and dragon, human and flame. Their voices blended, and the galaxy listened. Across distant worlds, mountains shook, oceans glowed. Sleeping dragons awoke from beneath ice and stone, their eyes burning bright on forgotten planets. Humans felt warmth return to their hearts. Children looked to the sky as strange lights danced through the clouds. The age of silence was breaking. But far beyond, in the endless black, the Dominion stirred. Inside their largest ship, the Ark of Shadows, alarms screamed. Admiral Vor watched in fury as star after star turned gold on his display. "The flame spreads," he growled. "Prepare the extinguishers, end this blasphemy." 1,000 Dominion ships turned toward the glowing world where Eli stood, each one armed with planet burners, weapons made to erase life itself inside the temple. The stars flickered. Eli gasped, feeling the coming storm. "They're here," he whispered. "They're coming for us." The spirit dragon's voice rumbled gently. "Then we meet them with fire." Eli looked down. His body was now glowing brighter than the stars themselves. He could see light flowing beneath his skin. Tracing veins of gold, the song pulsed stronger. It wasn't just inside him now, it was him. The dragon's voices grew louder, rising in unison. Every flame heart lifted higher into the air. Spinning faster and faster, they gathered above Eli's head, forming a burning spiral. Outside, the Dominion fleet entered orbit. Beams of blue light speared down from the ships. Tearing through the clouds, the ground shook. Mountains splitting apart, but the temple didn't fall. It stood untouched, protected by a dome of light. Vor sneered from his command chair. "Enough, fire everything!" Thousands of beams struck at once. The sky turned white. The entire mountain disappeared beneath the explosion. For a moment there was silence. Then, through the dust and fire, a sound rose, and faint but clear. The song had survived. A single golden note pierced the void. Then another, and another, until the whole world sang again. Eli floated above the ruined mountain, his body surrounded by a sphere of flame. The dragon spirit beside him, its wings vast and radiant, every heartbeat echoed like thunder. Together they sang the final verse, the last song. The flames shot into the sky, twisting into a spiral that reached the edge of the atmosphere. The Dominion fleet fired again, but their beams vanished as they touched the light. Energy bent around it, drawn inward one by one. The ships began to disintegrate. Their hulls turning to golden dust, Vor shouted, "Shut it down! Shut it down!" But his words were drowned by the roar of flame. The arc of shadow split in half, swallowed by its own energy. Across the galaxy, stars flared brighter. Dragons rose from oceans, deserts, and ruins, their wings cutting through the night. Their roars joined Eli's song, merging into a single sound that echoed across time. And through it all, the boy stood at the center, small, trembling but unbroken. The fire around him was no longer destructive. It was alive, warm, endless. He looked up at the stars, his voice soft but steady. "This is not the end," he whispered. "It's a beginning." The dragon's spirit smiled. "Then sing it, and let the galaxy remember." Eli closed his eyes one last time. The song reached its final note, pure, endless. The flames spread outward, wrapping the world in golden light. The Dominion ships vanished, their power undone. When the light finally faded, silence returned. The mountain was gone. In its place stood a vast field of glowing crystal, shimmering like frozen fire. At the center lay Eli, his body still peaceful, a faint smile on his face. His chest glowed faintly, pulsing once, twice. Then still above him the golden light rose into the sky. It formed the shape of a dragon before bursting into countless sparks. The stars above burned brighter, and for the first time in ages the galaxy was warm again. Across 1,000 worlds the new dawn began. Children woke to golden skies, feeling the hum of the song within their hearts. Elders spoke of a boy who sang to save the dragons. A boy whose voice changed the stars and high above beyond sight. The spirit of the dragon watched in silence, its voice soft as the wind. "Well done, little singer. The flame lives on." The fire dimmed, the world slept, and the age of flame began anew.